English essay on patriotism. Patriotism is a very complex and powerful sentiment which all of us have. It evolves from a necessary sense of belonging and fraternity, which, as social beings, we cannot do without. As a combination of several facets of character, like loyalty, sincerity, devotion, courage and love, patriotism serves as an important source of discipline and stability in modern living concepts. Though modern lifestyles are very sophisticated, and their priorities quite varied, the conflicts that such sophistication and variety create may be resolved if people are made to realize the importance of cooperation and solidarity among themselves. It is common in a society that is threatened to see its people ignore their differences and unite to defeat the threats. Such instances amply illustrate that despite the selfishness in our actions, we do let an undercurrent of consideration for causes beyond our own to flow within our minds. Patriotism is the net result of such a consideration. From its early linkage with loyalty towards things beyond one's own, patriotism, in modern times has come to mean loyalty to the distinctly organized nation-state into which a person is born. Alternatively, patriotism is the expression of pride and nativity and a declaration of responsibility and obligation towards one's nation. In the modern context, therefore, patriotism is a highly exalted and sacred sentiment, which may be stirred to galvanize a society into action. The sentiment of patriotism, by virtue of its volatility, has created lasting effects on social behavior, both acceptable and despicable. In Your Country Name, patriotism and self-respect were the ideals on which the edifice of the freedom struggle was founded. The vigor of those ideals was tried and tested against the vices of imperialism for over a century, before imperialism was forced to give itself up. Despite the crisis of conflicts and deprivation, and threats of secession that have been plaguing us ever since independence, the flame of patriotism continues to flicker in our minds, serving as a girdling wreath, protecting our nation's integrity as well as helping to keep off threats of foreign domination. Patriotism, in our context, functions as a tonic of reinvigoration and a deterrent against foreign mischief. But not always or everywhere has patriotism been a blessing. Being a vibrant emotion, patriotism, in order to be useful, should be maneuvered by safe and sane counsel. It will otherwise be a monstrous proposition. History cites numerous instances when patriotic feeling and loyalty towards causes have been manipulated to venomous proportions to victimize societies. Hitler and his Nazi party, inheriting a defeated and demoralized Germany, played on the German people's patriotism and yearning for self-respect in his quest to consolidate power. He skillfully appealed to German society, in the name of patriotism and dignity, for support to his preferences, which most Germans, unaware of the consequences, provided. Hitler's aim of transforming patriotic feelings into a fuel for worldwide conquest, and using it as a venom for subjugation and exploitation, could ultimately succeed only to the extent of widespread destruction and loss of lives in the order of millions. Taking a cue from Hitler's tactics, many tyrants since him have wreaked havoc on society as much as, if not to a greater measure than he did. Patriotism has, owing to such adventures, been suffering a loss of credibility. The erosion of its exalted status is evident from the quote, "Patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel." But such loss of credibility, hopefully, will not affect the importance of patriotism in national stability and welfare. Despite the misuse it often suffers, patriotism continues to have the ability to stir people into realizing seemingly impossible tasks. It was more the feeling of patriotism than anything else that motivated a hopelessly impoverished and disgracefully armed Russian society to withstand, and eventually to defeat, a superior, more powerful and better organized German army during the Second World War. Hence, to the extent of its ability to motivate and discipline people, patriotism is a vital sentiment that deserves to be cherished, and more importantly, to be nourished. Subscribe my channel English Essay on IELTS Writing (EEO)